White on the set. Makeup. Okay, here we go. And all right, and I'm just trying to get into it now. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3. How you doing, everybody? My name is Dean Olson. I am a songwriter, radio host, and producer from Orange County, California. And I'm really just an average man who loves to make music. However, when I get behind this microphone, I become the StrongWriter on the radio, helping songwriters and artists keep musically fit. Now, how do I like to do that? Well, through faith and hope and encouragement, by taking in the stories and experiences told to me by my wonderful guests, and by learning from the best in the business and passing it along to you. And now, it's another beautiful day for a fantastic show, and I want to welcome you to it. Today, I am hoping to connect in some way with my featured guest, and I hope he's going to be complimented by the fact that I really love his new album that he's put out. This man has some great music, and the man you're looking at right here on the screen with me is James DiGirolamo, multi-instrumental musician, sideman, and songwriter, whose wide array of influences come together in his latest EP, Paper Boats, set for release on June 11th. And I'm going to close the intro now because I just can't seem to read off a piece of paper here, like a simple piece of paper. Anyway, it's my pleasure to welcome to the show James DiGirolamo. How you doing, sir?
Terrific. Thanks very much.
All right.
I'm well. Thanks for the nice intro.
Yeah, the
kind words.
The very professional, smooth intro that I gave.
Oh, all good. I'm happy to hear you're liking the music.
I am liking the music. Yeah, that's just, I'm not going to say that, I don't want any of the other guests to get the wrong idea that I didn't like any of their stuff. But, you struck a good note with me because this is the kind of stuff I enjoy. And when I was making music 20 years ago, it was the kind of thing I like to do is to get on the piano and sort of play with different sounds. And I don't know what kind of genre do you think you are. You just do you just play what you feel and that's what comes out. I'm just curious what you think of your own music.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a hard question. Whenever somebody asks me about my own music, it's I mean, I can talk about music for hours, but when it comes to categorizing my own stuff, it's for some reason all of the terminology I know starts to just go bleh, starts to melt away, and everything seems to kind of somewhat lose meaning. But I'll try to answer this way, saying, I don't think about genre. I would never sit down and say I'm going to write a fill in the blank genre song. That to me is stifling. Other people may do it that way and really get something out of that and be able to be on target. I don't find that to be true, so I just sort of try to follow whatever impulse I started with, and if it leads somewhere cool, then great. I will oftentimes finish something even if I don't think it's that great, just to complete the process, because I think that's like you keep playing basketball even if you miss the shot. You don't just go like, I missed, the game's over, or just take a 5-minute break. It doesn't work that way. So just try to keep going through the process and let it guide you. And try not to overthink genre, category. What are people going to think of it if I incorporate this idea this way? Just free yourself of all of that.
Well, that's good because as I put in the intro that you were a sideman or a touring musician with a lot of different artists, and that's probably a good quality of yours to have, is to not be sort of pigeonholed into one particular brand of music, because you can just sort of you can adapt to what they want,
Yeah, for sure.
But still have your own personality, which it seems like that's what you are. You have a good style. So.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now,
when I think about this EP, it's like there's no definite through line stylistically at all. It's almost the opposite. It's almost like here are 6 songs that are very different, and the reason that they're together is because I say so. That's kind of how it went.
Well, I'm curious why you call it Paper Boats. Does that have anything to do with the first and the last track, or is it just something? Yeah, it's just the way you did it.
It's pure. It's I think when it's pure playfulness. You know, I noticed just a couple of common words, and it sounded nice together.
Yeah.
I'm reminded Peter Gabriel when he put out how many self-titled records did he put out in a row? There's like 3 or 4.
Right. There's Peter Gabriel, like 1, 2, and 3.
There's the scratches, the one that's called the melting face. The scratches is the other one, and then there's the one that has Shock the Monkey, which is sometimes referred to as Security, but where he sort of felt that was an utterly disposable title. And I thought that was an interesting idea that you could have, because that record is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The Security record is absolutely amazing. It's scary, literally frightening sometimes to listen to it.
I grew up with Peter Gabriel.
Family in the Fishing Net scares the hell out of me still when I hear it. I'm not exactly sure what he's on about, but it's scary. Anyway, so I know I can ramble, but I'll just say that.
Hey, welcome to this room, because this is exactly what I do too.
Yeah, I love the idea of having an album that has as much depth as that does, and then just saying, I'll apply a totally disposable title to it. I don't know. That attracted me. I think that's a funny idea.
That's good. Is this now? Forgive me that I haven't been able to. I'm so stuck on this one that I didn't go back and listen to any of the other stuff that you've done. So is this a departure? Or is this just more of the same? Some more goodness that you've put out.
Great question. The thing I put out before this is kind of folky. I would say there is sort of a through line there. It's kind of folky with an occasional moog blurt.
No.
I like to say, but yeah. So maybe a little bit of folk pop, a little bit of folk rock, but mostly straight through kind of my idea of what folk music sounds like. Of course, it's acoustic singer-songwriter thing, but I guess it would fall into that genre more easily than this doesn't, of course, but.
Yeah.
That is a full-length record. I'm really happy with how it turned out, but it's one of those ones that I unfortunately released to the void, So I'm trying to put an end to that with this, getting out there a bit more.
Does it help who produced this with you? Is this
current thing? So the Lullaby Black Sheep, which precedes this, was myself and a guy named Lex Price, who's a great producer, multi-instrumentalist. He grew up playing mandolin, but he's a great bass player now. I think when he came to town, probably very wisely identified that people need bass players, and so he's a great one. So anyhow, and a great guitar player, that doesn't seem to be anything.
Bass is an underrated but a very important element in your songs, So.
And he's just, everything is so cool. He's just like, I don't know how to describe his playing. It's super solid without sounding super solid. It's like it glides and it moves, but it's there like a rock. It's really neat. So anyway, he and I worked on Lullaby Black Sheep together, and then he co-produced 2 songs. I hope I'm not saying it correctly. 2 songs on this, which one of which is Top of the World, and the other which is The Girl Who Has Everything. The others I produced them, and then there's 3 different mixers on this record. So Lex mixed those 2 that he produced, and then there's two other fellas. One named Reed Shippen, Reed Shippen, who's a great mixer. He did Same Boat and Sail Away, which is the 3rd track. And then a guy called King Williams mixed On Paper, which is kind of a sleeper, weird, but I love that track.
Good. You and me both. That
one's close to my heart. Yeah.
I'll try to bite my. I'm sure you could. You could either take it or leave it. My compliments to you, because there are certain tracks that really stood out, and surprisingly, I just love taking a piano and just letting it sort of fill the room, fill the space.
Yeah.
And On Paper does that, and The Girl Who Has Everything is also one that they both leave a good feeling. But then again, the subject matter is a little melancholy as well. So
Yep.
But I enjoyed that a lot. The reason I was asking for the production is you kind of answered that, and that also seems to fit with what you said about all the tracks being sounding a little different. So
yeah,
it sounds everyone has a different contribution on it, and that's nice.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's plenty of records out there too where people are doing really interesting, diverse things too. So I'm not by any stretch doing something cutting edge or something with that. But I've always liked that from days of listening to the White Album, which is all over the place stylistically. It's like, why don't we do it in the road? Is followed by who knows how long I've loved you. This the sweetest possible thing, like right on the heels of
Paul McCartney screaming at the top of his lungs,
Yeah, and saying something that's kind of was surprisingly coarse too. Like, why don't we do it in the road? And then there's this. It's just beautiful how that thing ping pongs all around, and it doesn't. It all goes together. It's because it's those guys being creative and letting that out and not thinking, oh, should we not do that? Should we not do this? Should we not? Thinking in that way is stifling to creativity, I think. So.
Now, is this what you've done with your music, especially this album here? Did you think or just let it flow and let it flow from your being? So to speak.
Yeah, I think I just let it go. I think I had, this whole pandemic thing has been so confusing and weird and challenging. And I had started recording some of it, and I just it was like, what? This is what I'm working on right now. This is a snapshot of this period of time. Let's go with that. I had recorded a couple of things in the studio in 2019. So Girl Who Has Everything and Top of the World. That's from that session. And then everything else is me. It's like pandemic and me starting to mess around. And that's why it sounds kind of funky and weird. And so I hope it all kind of goes together in a neat way that, the experience of listening to it is, diverting and entertaining, and, I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah. Funky and weird does, there's an element of that in there. I'll go a little deeper into that, but let me go back and ask you a little bit about, are you self-taught, or did you take formal training? Because it's sometimes I have trouble discerning whether or not this is you're an accomplished musician in that way, because to be a sideman, I figured that you probably have to have you really have to know your keyboard there.
Yeah, it's true. And that's a great question. So I was a piano performance major in college. Now, that was a terrible, terrible choice for me. That was not the right thing. I was not going to become a concert pianist.
Okay.
That was never going to happen.
Is that what that major
that's kind
entails?
of, well, it's one of the things it entails.
Not concert pianist per se, but I mean, just when you say performance, I actually never considered that was a major in school.
Yeah, that's like hardcore. You are a pianist. You know what I mean? Like, so
this is what you shall be when we're done here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that I had any idea what doing music, quote unquote, doing music, or like going to college for music. I don't think I had the faintest idea what I was getting into. Anyways, but I do have some facility at the keyboards, and having gone through that, it was not easy for me because I was behind everybody. That's kind of why I put it that way, that I felt I didn't belong at all. Mm-hmm. It was light, let's call it lightly traumatic. But I made it, I made it through. I learned a lot about music. I learned some classical music. I learned some jazz music. I'm not a great jazz player. I love jazz, and I can play some material that's jazzy. I can improvise freely. I like doing that. But I wouldn't say I couldn't say I'm a jazz musician either. I'm just reticent. But in any case, all of that, and so my original goal, which isn't funny, it's out of step with my major, was to write film scores and stuff. I was just a very confused kid when I was that age, and that persisted straight through my 30s. Yeah. So,
when you say that age, you talking about like college age, like young 20s, something like that? When you were
and before that, preparing to go, coming up with a plan, all that stuff. I had no idea what I was doing.
Got it. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought I would write film scores and this, that, and the other thing. I really had no intention of getting into songwriting. I had no intention of being in bands or playing as a sideman, any of that stuff,
or even singing on your records.
None of that. I mean, and that's okay too, because that's life. That happens all the time. You think you're doing this when you're not, when you're doing something else. And and sometimes you're doing it for the reason of your subconscious is doing, and then other times you're doing it because you're clueless and you don't know what the hell you're doing. And maybe there was a little of both for me, but anyhow, so yes, I'll try to answer your question. There are things, so I'm very much self-taught on guitar. I can strum is about what I can do on the guitar. I mean, I can play a little bit more than that. I can play enough to record myself and fix stuff. And I would be fine getting up and being part of a band. And if I have to, play a few tunes on guitar would be just fine. But beyond that, I'm not a guitarist at all, but I can play enough to accompany myself. Yeah. So what you're hearing is a guy who knows about some chords and things like that, but who is not trying to be like, let me show you all the chords I can play, and be real. I would never be weird for weird's sake, I think, or do something purely to build in some kind of theoretical thing. I don't care about any of that. It's like, can you make all the stuff work in service of the song you're writing?
Okay, that answers the question. And
I ping-ponged around there quite a bit.
No, that's fine, because that's
you'll see I do that.
Because coming from somebody who did not take formal, I still to this day I still can't read. I can't sight read, and it's tough.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm terrible at sight reading. I was never great at it. I passed my sophomore technical, but I was never great at it, and I'm not good at it now. And
if I ever have to go back to, I actually have to look at, tablature. Well, not even tablature, just pictures of chords for the guitar and things. Basically go back to the old Mel Bay books and look at and say, hey, that's what I was playing. But I'm basically making up the stuff as I go along. So that's why I asked you whether you were self-taught or not, because as you're playing a song like The Girl Who Has Everything, all of a sudden you'll go into a chord that I wasn't expecting, and that's kind of nice because
the bridge goes whee off to another key. It just opens up a new vista.
That's the thing about creating a song, is that you come up to a new vista, and then it's oh wow, it's like the sun came out, and I want to explore this area, and then we'll come back. That's kind of what a bridge is, anyway. It has to have a different personality than the rest of the song, right? It's got to come. It's
so satisfying to go someplace else and then come back home, so to speak, musically, to the thing that you were that you started with. That's a great feeling. Yeah. And it's a great experience for the listener.
Yeah. So maybe a little bit farther back, not to be too trite and cliche about the things I ask, because I am curious a little bit, how far back does your musical interest go? Did you, as a little kid, were you even interested in this stuff? Because you said you were confused somewhat when you were learning this stuff and going to school for it. But did you have any idea this is what you would do?
Yeah. So when I was a little boy, my dad used to play Paul Simon records all the time, incessantly, and I loved them. I didn't always know what he was talking about, but he was it was just evident that you're listening to something special every time, not that every single song the guy wrote is gold or anything, but he's got such a command of what he's doing, and he makes it seem so easy, and I just love the sound of it. I don't even know how to explain it. It was but it was just part of me. I think that's the way I should explain it. That music became, at least some of it, the stuff my dad played all the time, just became part of me. I imbibed it constantly, and it just, it's part of me, along with some other things. But Paul Simon was the big one.
Okay.
Beatles too, I would say, maybe to the same extent. And then there's a whole cast there's the James Taylor stuff. There's Harry Chapin. My dad loved Harry Chapin so much. I'm sure I'll think of some others, but
no, those are decent. You could pick worse influence for songwriting and composing and just, putting together a nice sound. Paul Simon was definitely, and even Art Garfunkel will tell you, that he'll admit that, hey, listen, Paul wrote all the stuff. So it's not like he was jealous, but you almost needed him. So his stuff, when Paul Simon did his own stuff, it was completely different, but there was always familiar influences like the keyboard playing on there that always seemed to carry through to all his, whatever producer he had, he still carried that keyboard sound to it and the guitars and it's
Richard
hard to put your finger on it, but you like it, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, exactly right. And his lyrics just seemed, I don't know how to put it exactly. There's lots of analysis we could do, but let's just say his lyrics were more interesting to me than most. And he seemed to be able to write about any and everything. It wasn't, the guy's really hard to pigeonhole. As a songwriter.
And you said that you didn't know what he was talking about. I have to admit that's what it was. I didn't always know what he was talking about either. But a lot of those songs that you're mentioning, those are hits, and so it had to be relatable some way, and to connect with the public, and that's nice. Who do you think you're full? I didn't still crazy after all the years. I'm not even sure what he was talking about. It sounds like it's pretty obvious. However, you never know.
that one's just, that's just pure genius. That still crazy after all these years is that the bridge there, where just talk about going to a new place.
There were when you talk. I'm talking about early, obviously, 70s Paul Simon, which is me and Julio down by the schoolyard and Kodachrome. Those are things that I would try to emulate when I was playing either the bass or the guitar or something like that. But I didn't have piano growing up, so that didn't come later. But anyway,
you think about Mother and Child Reunion or something.
Oh, exactly, yeah. And I didn't even know, and I didn't reggae-ish. And it's funny, even when I was young, I didn't even think it was reggae until later on. I go, oh, that sounds like almost an authentic reggae song that I'm listening to,
And this may be this may be don't quote me on this, but I have heard that the inspiration for that song was a chicken and egg dish at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh,
mother and child reunion.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just
I won't quote you on that, but that's a pretty good, that's a nice analysis.
I like it. I hope it's true. I hope that's how he got the initial idea to write that.
But kind of like going back to what you said about the Peter Gabriel, it seems all very meticulous and serious, and then he puts a little whimsical, almost esoteric out of the blue title,
Yeah.
And then when you have all these. Yeah, there's many influences, many examples you can go to of songs that sound so serious, but then they came from a strange place, a strange beginning, like you said, with the chicken and the egg. Okay, enough of me rambling too, because that I can.
Oh, it's okay, man. We got time.
Yeah. Sometimes my analysis crashes and goes off the freeway, So. Oh.
Me too. It's perfectly all right to go off on a tangent.
Let me see. Best way to just get back into the album, and then if I have any other questions, because some of the stuff. Well, let's talk about that opening track, because we were talking about McCartney-esque type of lyrics, and that's really cool. Same Boat had sort of an intro that was not characteristic of the rest of the song. It sort of had like a little guitar.
Yeah, it's a sandwich.
It is.
Of sorts.
It is.
It comes back a little at the end, and that's it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like sounds like the an old blues thing or the Meters or something.
There you go. That's exactly what I was thinking. I didn't want to give away, but yeah, okay. It sounded like Sissy Strut to me a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, and the open chord.
Yeah.
Major chords following the.
See, I enjoy that stuff. You can do just enough without feeling like you're ripping off anybody when you do something like that.
Yeah, it's just
you're giving really, a little flavor, a little.
That one just that I really tried to take that material, that lick or that portion. I really tried to put it in the middle of the song someplace to make more sense, quote unquote. I couldn't do it. It just didn't sound. Once I tried to do it, it didn't seem right. So I just didn't do it.
But then you start to it starts to pick up, and then it's not going to be the rest of the song. That little riff is done. That lick.
Yeah, fooled you.
If we're gonna be in the same boat, let's start rowing. If we're gonna get where we're going, we've gotta learn to row together. Our problems may appear bigger than ever. We're hanging by
But then that's when you're introduced to that voice of yours. So that's cool. You didn't have I didn't know what to expect, and it's always pleasant when the voice can carry the song through, and it's not annoying. It's not an annoying voice. Don't take that the wrong way. I love it.
No, I'm very happy.
Yeah, because I heard some other ones where it's like too. It sounds like too much like what you've heard in every other pop song that's on the radio right now. I'm getting a little tired of everybody copying everybody's style when it comes to voice. But
and also just recording technique too on that. Just the sound of things being copied is, I understand why people do it.
Exactly.
But it can get it to feel a bit stale or a bit like, oh, that's the same as this, or Yeah,
and it's nice what is it, the chorus? I can't even without going back and listening to it note for note. But there's the chorus comes up, and all of a sudden you hear some background vocals, but then you hear some more of the instruments just joining in, and it seems like I was talking about filling that space. That's the kind of thing. It was enough to do it without overpowering the listener, because otherwise, you're like, oh, too many instruments. That's what I struggled with. I always wanted to, if I was going to put all these instruments on and play them all by myself, I always let me throw this element in too, and this one, and this one, and this one. And pretty soon I had to like strip it down again, because it sounded like it was way too much overload there.
Yeah, for sure. Arranging things so that you change, you kind of differentiate parts of the song from one another. Hopefully giving, we talked about going to a different place chordally or harmonically is one way. And then just changing, like, hey, this kind of ensemble of instruments is happening now. And then when the verse starts, it's not going to be that anymore. It's going to just be it's going to empty out. It's going to be the piano and the bass and the drums only, or something like that, just as an example. Speaking of so Same Boat just really felt, I started writing that with the little dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong on the piano left hand, which is very much a McCartney thing from like what's the tune? Let 'Em In, one of my all-time favorite songs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can do 20 minutes on that song alone. So let's try to stay. I'll try to stay focused. So I thought like, oh, am I doing this? And then the first words that occurred to me are, if we're going to be in the same boat, let's start rowing. I thought, am I doing this? This could be a horror show. This could be the most trite thing I've ever heard in my life. I was satisfied that I came up with a fairly interesting couplet there, and then moved on. And I think I did not ever really dispel my fears until I had the whole song written. I was like, no, I like this. This is not trying to solve all the world's problems or detail every solution or what we need to do and exhaustively tear apart this issue. It is a happy song.
Yeah.
Hopefully, trying to appreciate the spirit of cooperation between people. And also, I liked the line a lot. Let's see. I wish I can't pretend that I have all the answers. By magic, turn these fighters into dancers. That just struck me as a very. I was very satisfied with that.
See, there you go. If you thought it was, there you go. So if you thought it was dull or trite, like we were saying, you broke the spell, because you got it. You put something kind of unique in there.
Yeah, I hope it would stand up in songwriting court, as a buddy of mine likes to say. It says if they took me to songwriting court, I could say, but look, that one's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to admit that one. Yeah.
yeah. Whatever your issues are with the rest of the song, at least it has that. This line is exhibit A as to why you should vote to acquit. Yeah. So.
Now, if I ever put my foot in my mouth about your songs, just know that it's coming from a good place. I'm just trying to relate to you in some way about the way I do things, but this is all about what you've done. And part of the show is just, if through vicariously people hear me talk, oh yeah, I do that too when I write a song, or I love to play with the different elements, or I like to get in the studio and try different instruments and just or different sounds just because they're there that one day or something like that. Like the I don't want to go into that yet. I'm trying to skip ahead here. Okay, I'll have to go with it. On Paper is the way you end up the
nice.
I wanted to compliment you.
Let's go there, man.
Yeah. Why fight it? If I'm going that direction.
Yeah, exactly.
On Paper it's a gorgeous melody, but then again, it's one of those ones where you can sort of feel as you're playing it and singing it, the whole vibe is almost like you're getting choked up about something, or you're what's the proper? It's a very melancholy song, and it's about somebody having a divorce or something like that, breaking up a relationship or a marriage,
and having kind of not having seen it coming and sort of punishing himself a little bit.
Yeah. So it's a little introspective and at the same time it punishes himself.
Right. It's introspection. But it's not me. It's an imaginary character. There's parts of me in it. But that bit about one part about not being prepared for things is me. And in the song, it's in the second verse of the song. It's the first verse starts out with a color, and so does the second verse. So the first verse starts out with pink is the color of a heart, cut out of paper by a child. And I'm blanking. Cut out of paper by a child. Well, that's how the first verse starts, with that color. The second verse I can't remember right now, which is black is the color of ink. A squid jets out when he takes a fright. Silly me, I never stopped to think I might have to gear up for a fight. And that's me. It's like, why did you not see? How did you not know this circumstance was going to lead to bad? Was going to spoil on you. How did you not know that? Yeah, of course. A friend of mine has a thing. It's a Kierkegaard quote. It's life. Something to the effect of that life must be lived forwards, but can only be understood backwards.
Yeah,
looking. That's right on. That's what this song is about. Lots of things. It's about just feeling just gutted that something didn't work out, wondering how it didn't work out. And then the third verse is a complete trick. It's like a writerly trick. It's like, now we're talking about this character, the playwright. And so it starts, because I went with that color thing again. White is the playwright's hair. From shocks and something and affairs.
Pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But it starts to become clear that this character in the third verse is maybe he's the same guy from all along. It's the whole song. He's just talking about, it just shifts person. It shifts perspective, but they all should relate. Anyway, I don't want to sit and try to explain it all.
Yeah. No, I got it.
I can demonstrate how I can forget my own lyrics. That's always fun.
No, I was going to say, hey, it's your song. You should have known. No.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. That's and just the way musically and sonically, that's just a beautiful thing. So, I don't know.
And the other tie-in is just making on paper work in all those different ways. So it's like, the playwright, and now he's crying on paper. And the second verse about the first verse about the heart, it's like, it's made out of paper. Second verse, that whole divorce scene, it's like now paper keeps me up at night. It's all the documents he's got to sort through to unwind himself from this relationship. So I didn't want to skip that. That's that's me playing around. You know, that's the thing I think is, even if it's a sad song, that one's like a bit of a puzzle, lyrical puzzle. And can you tell a story and also just, you know, those things are, I don't know if they're apparent to the listener. I don't know if it matters, but fun on the writing. Yeah, fun on the writing side.
Pink is the color of art, cut out of paper by a child. I've never felt like this before, like someone tore that heart right up and left me dying. On paper, everything was right. Now paper keeps me up at night. Black is the color of ink. A squid jets out when he takes a fright. Silly me, I never stopped to think I might just have to gear up for a fight or a flight. I was only flying on paper. Wings crash on paper. Everything was right. Now paper keeps me up at night. The papers never get things right. The neighbors party every night. White is the playwright's hair, from shocks and struggles and affairs. Why don't you capture our hearts with something new? It's a job to get it all down and out, and now he's crying. On paper, he finally got it right. On paper, what he couldn't do in
it's a little sardonic with a touch of humor thrown in there, and at the same time punishing yourself. That's a wonderful way to put it, because I've done things like that when I was in the doghouse with my wife, which happened many a time. I would write stuff just for me, and then and I'd finish it, but nobody else got to hear it. But it was always me upset with myself that I did something wrong.
Processing.
Yeah, I'm processing it.
Processing the information. Yeah, through songwriting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope she never hears this, because she hasn't heard any of these songs, and. But I was always convinced, if I release this, the public would really take to these, because if it's happened to them, they'll understand.
Sure.
They have a relatable quality to them. But because we all, unless it's one of those relationships where nobody has a fight ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting now, having had some. One or two toxic relationships. Not blaming that on the other. I'm not saying the other person was toxic. I'm saying the combination, or certain things we didn't grapple with and couldn't understand. But then you get into a healthy relationship, and you're like, this is what it feels like. This is when your partner is, wants you to do all the things you want to do. You each give each other space. You celebrate when, you have a victory, a thing that you wanted to do, the thing you accomplished. Instead of trying to hog that person to yourself, like, I don't want you to do anything, I want you to be here with me, type of thing, which happens a lot,
So you have these thoughts, and they come out into songs. Any of this stuff autobiographical, or are you taking some license with the protagonist of each
always
of the stories that you do? Yeah.
Always license.
Yeah.
Always license.
Because I do that too. I would write something with my wife in mind.
Yeah.
And then she'll come back and say, "What did you mean by that line?
Right.
What are you saying about me?" I said,
"Yeah, exactly.
Don't take it. You're just the inspiration for this thing. You're not. This isn't you exactly.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's unless I set out specifically to write about a person. Well, Sail Away is about as specifically about a person. It was written I wrote it for my girlfriend. And sailing away to distant shores and all that kind of stuff, like, going for bike rides and all that sort of thing. That's all stuff we like and that we do. So that one's pretty specific. Of course, I don't name her in it, but it's pretty specific. But really, that's the exception. Generally speaking, even if I'm pouring my own life experience into a song, it's not that I'm afraid of having it be me, per se, but I just find it's more interesting to me to project it, or to distort it, or to combine it, or to do all of that.
Riding the waves, words I wanna say. sail away with me.
Yeah, it's more fun. Songwriting is fun. Music is fun. I mean, it can also get to be work, and that can be good and that can be bad depending on where you are at the moment. But
when it becomes work, do you recognize that and sort of back off of it for a second, or come back to it, or you just like
you just do the work. When it's work, you go through the process, you do the work, and I mean, there have been times where I have where I'm writing more. There's times when I'm writing less, but I'm always trying to go through the process. I don't always have a goal in mind. It's helpful to not have a goal in mind sometimes. Other times it's, obviously if you have no goals in mind, you're not gonna, be able to put together, obviously you must have goals in mind if you're going to write, record, release, and promote an album. So clearly there's some goals in mind.
What year did you do I'm sorry, what year did you do your first album?
There's a bunch of early stuff that's like, did it actually come out? I don't even know. It's really funny.
But there was probably one that was, that started the ball rolling, right?
Yeah, 2008, called Life and Casualty. It's another thing I just put out independently. I was just working for other people, and I wasn't trying to have a songwriting career or an artist career at all per se. But I had a bunch of tunes, and it was like, what are you afraid of? What's holding you back? Why don't you record this? Why don't you put it out? And I'm really happy with the songs on that. Some of the recordings aren't the best, but
okay. The question I think I'm just trying to formulate here in my mind is it wasn't whether or not you enjoyed making that, but or even consider it your debut album. What I'm saying? It was was that kind of like the first realization? Okay, now we're starting here. I'm becoming a recording artist. I'm going to do an album. Yep. And then from then on, you've kind of set when you have an inspiration to make a new one, you set out to, like you said, goals. Exactly. It's time to make another one. Let's try. How did you hook up with other people to do that?
Yeah, great question. Purpose and intention from that point forward, I guess. Not that it's my only thing I'm trying to do, because I'm always trying to do a bunch of different things. But there is, yes, I'm intent on writing and recording music and putting it out, my own stuff. Interestingly, I couldn't tell you what the process is on. I think I just, I get inspired to bring somebody up and say, do you want to play this instrument or that instrument on this thing? It's free form,
That's great.
Freestyle, I guess.
Because I'm thinking, if it was a situation where you were roped into it, or you were part of an existing band and you decided to break away, that's one thing. But you started off as your own entity, as your own. Yeah. You started off as a solo artist, for lack of a better word, and now you've continued forward. And how many have you had since 2008? Maybe
handful. Yeah, handful. Yeah. There's another EP called On This Day. There's another one that there's another one that's buried in the vaults. Another EP that's buried in the vaults. I just can't seem to. It's like the novel that Fran Lebowitz is writing for the last 30 years. It's just. It's like 1,000 pages. It's never come out. It's like that one is a little bit like that.
Yeah, it's like, is it really in the vault? Where is that vault? That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's in EP release jail. It's just I just can't get the mixes right. I love the songs, and I just think my recordings aren't up to.
Several years it'll be a box set item or whatever.
Yeah, I do want it to come out. I think it's good. But anyway, so then there's a handful of things. So there's Lullaby, Black Sheep, and then this. And now at the moment, I have another whole record written. Haven't started recording it yet, but I'm doing a very experimental collaboration with an musical buddy of mine. And so I think that's going to be a quote unquote a band. There might just be the two of us in it, but it's a project. It's a thing.
That's great. That's what real musician songwriter types like to do, is to if you're creative and you find another creative friend, let's get together and try something apart from this world over here.
Yeah, we're just sending files back and forth.
Yeah.
And so far, I think it's surprising us both that we're treading on some stylistic ground we haven't before, and some we have. And also, and we're college buddies, but we've never collaborated musically before. So there's one or two instances of like one of us having a fragment of a lyric and the other one turning it into like, holy mackerel, man, you just turned this into a great song. And so we're both excited about it.
Yeah.
It's a great way to feel. And there's no particular, urgency or schedule to it, but we're just, I guess we got there's two or three they're starting to sound almost done. There are several that are in various stages of creation.
Great.
The little jars and the scientists,
I know.
Laboratory that have like, there's one that's got like, it's got a embryonic, and there's another one that's a little further along than that. And it's all very frightening.
Yeah. There are others probably that have weird organisms and hair growing out of it and things.
Yeah, there's one that's just a lung and an arm. That's all there is. Yeah.
And Island of Misfit Songs, or the Laboratory.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And that's actually Laboratory of Misfit Songs is pretty great.
All right. We'll share the copyright on that one. No.
Okay. Sounds good.
No.
So we can do this we'll do this again next week. We'll write it.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway, this is the rambling. Two Guys Rambling is a great show. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
because when I tend not to write down the questions, I always say to myself, I'm going to, and then I say, why should I? It makes for a better show when it just sort of frees flowly, and then that's why it's not live. I tape it and then we air it later. So
nice.
This is always great. You perform with a lot of people, though. I was telling you, a lot of these people sorry, I hadn't heard a lot of them. So these are, what are they from different worlds? All these, are they in kind of in the same vein of music?
Yeah. At least several fall into the kind of Americana or folk. Broad category. Yeah. Like for example, Holly Williams was on a big label. There was Universal and then Mercury.
Right. Holly Williams was listed on this thing I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. She's great. It's been a while, but she's great. On one of those, I ended up, I had that feeling like, how did I get here on this? If you read the credits, it's not like I was in the studio with somebody. Oh, yeah. It's like there's one that freaks me out where I'm like, oh my goodness. It's like, how did I get in there? It's like
you can be impressed and intimidated at the same time. Like,
there's like every A-list Nashville musician and then me, and it makes me laugh. I get tickled every time. But she's great. So she, she kind of fits into that Americana thing. Somebody like Mindy Smith was on a smaller label. It's an old jazz label, Vanguard.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, there you go. Another big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mindy Smith was like, I know these people. I know of these people. Just can't talk on their music enough to know.
Yeah.
The types that they do. But it's.
Well, she would come into this. She's from New York, from Long Island, if I'm not wrong. Certainly New York, and then came to Nashville by way of Knoxville, and there was this writers' night every Monday that we would all come to. And she would flatten everybody by being like, just her voice would just, the whole room, like hundreds of people would just instantly shut up. It was magic. It's like, you just knew she had that thing. and the songs were great. They were great. And it's very, I won't say there was a bunch of people like that because there's nobody quite like her, but there were, man, when I reflect on the group of people at that time, everybody's gone on to do stuff. They're all really, was a lot of amazing people, highly concentrated on Monday nights at 12th and Porter in Nashville.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So this is this normally where you're playing all these in right in town there?
I haven't been there in years and years and years, and that's probably a good thing for me.
Okay.
Personally. That was just a time. That was just a chapter, getting back to some of those other artists that fall into that broad category of folk or Americana or those sorts of things. It's like a lot of that is Lex is the common thing. Lex Price hired me to play on a lot of that stuff. It's like all the cool stuff I've ever played on is because of him. Not all, but a lot. So that's a good thing to have then. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And we knew each other, but he visited another buddy of mine who was doing some demo recording for this an artist, and I had played on those sessions, and Lex came in and was like, "Who's playing keyboards on this?" And the guy was like, "Oh, that's James." And he's like, "Oh, wow, right. I got to get him on this Mindy stuff and a couple other things, blah, blah, blah." One thing led to another, but that often happens.
Yeah. There were so many mentioned there. Wow, you must be must have been busy when,
there was a time
you must have had you had your dance card full all the time, I'm sure, doing things and creating your own things in your studio.
Yeah, there was a time. It's a little going ways back. I remember 2007. I remember January. Well, I don't know if it was January, but 2007. I think I was playing on and off for 10 different artists to try to make a living. Just try to fill up the calendar with stuff. I couldn't do that now. I don't think I have the energy.
Oh, definitely. I understand that for sure.
At this point, yeah. And I have a lot of energy, but
no, you seem to. And then with the hot yoga all the time, that probably.
But anyway, that was another, there've been different chapters to my creative odyssey. I would not recommend it. I must say, I would not recommend my particular career path to anyone.
Ah, well, but you did it. So
yeah, it's been pretty. Yeah, it's had high highs and low lows.
Like you said earlier, the work is there. You do the work. Because otherwise, I don't know. If it gets too tough, you don't quit. So you must have to. You ever take a breather and go like the schedule? Because it's hard to say no when people ask you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's the say yes to everything philosophy. There's definitely that. Yeah. I think you just do the work. I could have quit a lot of times. There might have been a couple of points where I should have quit, but I kept going. And for better or for worse, this is I like music. I decided to quote unquote do music. So here I am. I'm still doing it.
So that sort of answers the question: why do you do it? You're motivated to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how to not do it. Is the problem and the solution at the same time.
Well, that's wonderful. Paper Boats is like I said, I have been enjoying this for certain tracks. Is there anything that you'd be able to play on one of your instruments? What instrument would you be playing it on?
I'll just play on guitar here, I think.
Okay. And what would sound good on the guitar? Because I was going to say, The Girl Who Has Everything is a wonderful song. But if you,
thank you.
It sounds great on a piano. I don't know. I haven't heard it on a guitar before.
And I played some guitar. I played some guitar on that. I was not the only guitar player on that track, but I think I'll play Top of the World. Top of the World's a great one too. Yeah, all 6 tracks are great, and this is it. Was there anything left over that you'll do like bonus stuff later on that not leftover per se. I got a bunch of stuff written, so I'm trying to figure out how to record it and how best to do that, how best to take limited resources and spend them wisely and come out with the best product I can. I will say this, I learned a lot on this particular thing. Great. On this project. I learned some things. I'm happy with how it came out. I learned some things I would not repeat, but many things that I would. But then they're not things that would be very apparent to the listener. I think it's just more behind the scenes type of stuff, just decision making stuff on my part.
At least you consciously learn and don't repeat the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, and hopefully you get better.
Find what works for you and keep going with that. So that's hopefully I get better at each aspect of the process. Do me a favor for the people who are going to listen to this. Top of the World. Can you explain what this is all about before you play it? What is Top of the World about?
I think you can really hear how my voice is drying out. It's from talking for an hour to you, Dean. It's all good. Almost. Yeah, actually, it has been an hour. Yeah. My girlfriend marvels at she's like, oh my God, he does not stop.
He is talking again and he's not stopping. Yeah.
We had my mother visited for the first time to get to meet Jacqueline. And we just sat and rambled for hours and she couldn't believe it. She just couldn't, because she does not talk that much. It's just so funny. We're very different that way. If I had to sum up Top of the World, it's that, it's interesting because the song still has some aspect of loss to it. I guess that love is easy to lose, maybe, and that you should try to hang on to it when you have it. I think that might be the best way to put it, because there's a lyric. It's like, and it's my co-writer, Robbie Hecht, who's a wonderful artist, by the way. Everybody that hears this should immediately check out Robbie Hecht immediately. Like, don't, check out my thing, but check out his stuff too. He's a wonderful singer.
I will.
Wonderful singer, wonderful writer. But I had this part of the lyric, and he made it so much better, because now it's like, let's not come down this time. This time is the operative part of the phrase, Right. And that just really did something for me that I just really like that.
Good going, Robbie. He helped you come to save the day on that.
Yeah. For sure. I love you, oh, no one above you in the whole wide world. You help me know that I matter. We climb the ladder to the top of the world. Let's never come down this time. We'll stay up high on top of the world. Look at all the tiny people down in that scale model town, walking around. I run down the street to pick up takeout before you get back home. Let's eat it off the fancy china up on the rooftop wall. Let's never come down this time. We'll stay up high on top of the world. Look at all the tiny people down in that scale model town, walking around. Look at all the tiny people down in that scale model town. I love you, oh no one above you in the whole wide world. You help me know that I am mad. We climb the ladder to the top of the world. Let's never come down this time. We'll stay up high on top of the world.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Oh, the tape broke. Sorry. No, just kidding.
That's funny.
No tape. No, who wrote you or Robbie? Who's responsible for that great hook? Look at all the tiny people down in that scale model town. I love that line, by the way. That's great.
Thanks. Thank
nice
you.
Picture, nice picture in your mind of what when you're up on that ladder and looking down. So
yeah, it's just I don't know. I think I had the scale model town part, but it's it is when you co-write with somebody. It's you cannot. Well, you should avoid keeping score for one thing, like who came up with this or that or the other thing, because you're both coming up with things based on the what's happening in the room between you.
I understand.
It's like if I have some genius idea, I can't just hog credit to it because I thought of it. It was my precious.
You got to
idea.
Play nice.
You can't say. Good. Yeah, you can't act like Gollum with the ring about your own ideas. You should be able to recognize that if something your co-writer says sparks something good on your part, you haven't done that entirely by yourself.
Yeah. Let me go on the records. I'm sorry, I'm talking over you. Go right ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm happy like that part of the tune. And it was a fun thing. So I hope I get to write with him more.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Sharing is overrated, I would say. But when you're writing a song, there's some satisfaction when you both can take credit for it and smile and go, yeah, we came up with that together. That was nice. So
it's a great feeling. That's the thing. It's like I don't think there's a better feeling in the whole world than writing something you feel good about, a good song.
Yeah.
I must say, I like writing and recording. Do you remember that there's a taco commercial, I think, when I was a kid? I like making them. I like eating them. Do you remember that?
Okay. It sounds familiar.
I can't remember the brand. The brand is gone. But anyway, I have to say I like making them more than I like performing per se.
I think I understand that. Yeah.
I like performing too, but I really like the writing process and recording process probably more.
The old taco line.
You don't get to choose, I guess, unless you have achieved an enormous amount of success first and then decide to not be a touring act. That would be like XTC or the Beatles.
Oh yeah. Another influence of yours. I enjoy looking at some of the stuff that is in print saying that you were, a lot of things are, I like them all. Yeah. Harry Nilsson, Thomas Dolby, Elvis Costello. These are all my generation, Kate Bush, etc.
Yeah. Joni
Mitchell, the Beatles. Everybody has the Beatles. Yeah. But
everybody has the Beatles, but you're lying.
Somehow I believe you.
Right. That's true.
But I like that Ben Folds is on this list. And I like that because when I asked you the genre you have, I go, Ben Folds is one of those guys that he could play on a ticket with some jazz artists, but he's not jazz, right? So he
Right, yeah.
a lot of, and there are a lot of different piano players that do that kind of act. If you can play in so many different styles, that almost puts you almost as a benefities for your jazz chops. You can play with some jazz players, and so
the
that's
whole
great.
like power pop or whatever you call that, is so broad. Some of these categories are so broad, and that's cool.
Yeah, to me, that was another thing. In one of the nice things about the '90s was Ben Folds to me, because I was he was kind of like, I don't know, was he an angry guy in his lyrics? I could never tell. Brick is pretty intense, for a pop song, and the One Angry Dwarf or whatever that thing, that was one of my favorites. I enjoyed that one, So
yeah, he just has this way of being like North Carolina real in most of his stuff, the upbeat stuff that I'm thinking of. Fred Jones, that just breaks my heart. Every time I hear it, it breaks my heart. It's a perfect song.
Am I thinking of the right guy? In a Daydream, Freddie Jones band?
The one that describes the guy who's worked in a newspaper for 30 years. And that,
okay. Great. Yeah, there I go.
It's a beautiful song.
You can have all these different influences, as you were saying, Paul Simon, it becomes a part of you. But what's nice is you don't become a clone of Paul Simon. You become, that becomes part of, this might be, who knows, the heart might, like all the body parts that keep me going, like the heart. Oh, well, that could be part Paul Simon, part Beatles over here. And then my left arm could be XTC doing, all these not raunchy, but, they can get kind of, body lyrics and
body is the perfect word for some of their stuff. Like I'm thinking of Pink Thing.
They get a little rowdy at times, but
absolutely fearless. That's a fearless song. I don't know, I could never write that. And then of course it's the next thing is Hold Me My Daddy, which is like this wonderful father-son relationship song.
It's funny. Funny that we're bringing up XTC just because, I don't know, my cousin, who we love to talk about the 80s, they had Making Plans for Nigel. She sent that video, a YouTube video of that old video, and I go like, oh shoot, that now I'll never get that out. Took me 40 years to get rid of that song in my head. Yeah, and I'm gonna get it back. But I remember Andy Partridge going like, that's not even one of my favorite songs. I don't know why people like that so much.
Yeah, I think Colin Moulding wrote that. I know they may have written it together, but I think it started out as a Colin song.
Yeah, so there were plenty other ones, Generals and Majors. I could have, you could have played that one, and it would have been a lot more. But Making Plans for Nigel, that's so pre-MTV type of stuff,
Yeah, there's something about that song though. There's this
just that
sounds. It just takes over. And the second it starts playing, it's like it takes over.
Is that drum beat? I think is what that starts at that wham flam. Just it's like industrial, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's nice. That's pretty cool. You got all these great influences. You don't seem like an old man to me. So
thanks. I was going to say the most important thing about influences in my head is that they just. I never sit down and go, and now I shall do a thing that is like so-and-so. I never, ever do that. It's just, but I'm always intrigued to see something kind of pop out. It's like, that really reminds me of, I haven't thought about that tune in years. And here it is, this little thing that pops out that reminds me of, so-and-so, Nelson or someone like that. Yeah, it's interesting. So I think that to me, it's very interesting that they're not overt. And I will tell you, at the risk of going on too long, I will tell you that I went through a period of time where I was it was a case of hero worship of Elvis Costello. And I could not find my own personality. I got completely lost and just, took a long time to shake that. And he's a tremendous writer, of course. But I could not find my own voice for a long time. And so it's, just development, I've shed my obsession, we'll call it, and found other influence. I think it's important to, I guess, while I'm on the subject of influences, it's important to absorb a lot of diversity, or a lot of, just like you would in your diet, a variety of things. That's healthiest.
That's a very interesting observation of yourself. The finding your own voice. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I was so stuck. I mean, it was so obvious to everybody. It would be the kind of thing where you'd play a writer's night. If somebody marches up to you, like every time you play and goes, Elvis Costello, right? And that's not good. That's a sign that you might be just trying to copy somebody a bit too much. So I would say to a younger person, pay attention to that feedback and try to identify if you're just going into a spiral that is just all things.
Yeah.
I have some buddies, like, they're young guys, they're way light years ahead of where I was at their age, but they might be in danger of going down the Wolfpack, wormhole just a little too much, so anyway. But
understand. Yeah. But when you finally find your voice, is it one of those situations? I'm curious, because did you find that it was there all along and you didn't have to really search for it too hard?
That's a freaking amazingly good question. The answer is I don't know.
Yeah,
I might know 20 minutes from now after we hang up. I might think of it.
I tried to do that, when actually trying to get an interesting singing voice. I was always like, I was influenced by so many different, things from hard, not super hard, but like very aggressive new wave music in the 80s to smooth jazz to maybe some little pop country, the old school type of stuff, and
sure,
and would go all over the place, right? So then I'd think, if I'm going to do all kinds of different songs, do I have to sing in a different style? That would drive me crazy, and so I would try to amp it up. If I wanted to do something with a little more rock to it, I felt I had to get aggressive with my vocals, and I said, you know what, leave that to the others, because that's their personality, and if it works for them. They may not believe it if you're trying to. Then you're becoming an impressionist almost. You don't want to do that.
You have to remember to be yourself. And then there are those remarkable artists who seem to have the ability to have several different authentic personalities musically. I'm thinking of McCartney mainly, but also Billy Joel will sing in. He's got several different modes, that not musical modes, but like vocal modes, where he's singing real soft, and then he's got a kind of a raucous rock voice that he'll employ at times, but it all sounds like him. And then there's Tom Waits, who has like 35 different crazy voices that he does now,
right?
And none of which resemble where he started. But good Lord, what a cast of characters is running around that guy's head.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't handle it.
I could. They're just varying degrees of beautiful insanity that sound very different from one another. They're just different. It's almost like he's acting when he sings,
Yeah.
Which doesn't. That's a good. I think that's a good thing.
And you almost have to trust that Tom Waits knows how to use those voices at the appropriate time. I don't know how his mind works, but he seems to be in control of where it all goes, where everything lands,
Totally. And I just listened to the other night, I listened to Monkberry Moon Delight of Paul McCartney. That is an insane vocal. He is screaming at times. His voice must have been thrashed at the end of that thing. It is crazy. If you haven't listened to Monkberry Moon Delight in a while, remind yourself of it. It's insane in a great way.
Yeah, so you wouldn't,
And the same guy who sings, I Will or Yesterday or all this.
Or Maybe I'm Amazed or something like that. But when you said, why don't we do it in the road? That's about the most I've heard him scream on something
he's got
still be in control. He didn't.
Yeah, he's got that rock voice that he'll do at times. I love it. I didn't realize he had it.
I heard that one song, you know, I go, wow, this is
Helter Skelter too.
oh yeah.
Holy macaroni.
How could I forget that?
Yeah,
I
easily.
have nightmares about that one. You know, you said the different personalities. Yeah, I think Sting. Anybody that knows me will know that's you know, he's got his you know, he's got his Roxanne voice, and he's got his the Fortress Around Your Heart.
Right.
Type, you know, there's the, and of course there's the Every Breath You Take. Everything's, and he can slow down. And I've heard him do jazz numbers and opera and all those different weird things that he likes to do.
He's a freak.
Yeah, he's a freak. You know, but that was another one of my influences growing up. So a lot of the stuff I did was you know, of that era, and a lot of it was corporate. So it was, you know, big labels picked up these people. Sade, Simply Red. Mr. And things like that. Oh, Level 42, big time for me.
Sure. You know?
Yeah. I once had a guest on who knew a couple of those people from that band, and it's like you with the Paul McCartney, Let Him In or something like that. We'll just go ahead and start talking about that for about 10 minutes and if we can see if it ends in the hour, you know.
That's funny.
Yeah. But Let Him In was something you mentioned that you could you really like that one. That was one of my mother's favorite when she got that album and started playing it for me. It was like, yeah, from those chimes that they the doorbell thing that they try to play.
It's pure imagination. That song is pure whimsy and imagination, and
it sounds so simple. And oh gosh, what a stupid lyric! But you know, you don't know what he's up to. You know, you never know what he's up to when he's saying something.
You can tell that he's not the slightest bit worried about what kind of song is this going to be.
Yeah, Wings, by the way, one of the most underrated. Yeah. With all the musicians, he had a certain sound when he was with Wings, and then
I love some of those songs.
Yeah, when he decided to move on and start doing albums as a solo thing, it was probably after Coming Up. You know, that's when it started to become more him, and then he could play with his own a different band, I guess, right? You know.
Yeah, I can't quite remember how it all worked out, but yeah, Wings is amazing.
Yeah, I would keep going on that, but then we would never end because I know that's something you like. You like the Beatles and McCartney, and
I could go on forever, Dean.
Yeah. So you never played favorites between the Lennon and the McCartney side. You know, it was like you know, both are good, but you kind of were drawn to one of the.
That's a toughie.
That is a toughie.
I don't know. I think you just have to let them both be, you know.
I look at it as almost an outsider. I appreciate the Beatles and everything that they did, but I'm not a maniac for them like some people I've talked to, and I figured, hey, I'm not gonna try to be phony about the love of it, because I think it. But I've learned, and so has my wife. Both of us, we didn't appreciate it until later on. We said, you know what, in retrospect, in hindsight, it's much better than.
That's often the case, though, isn't it? I mean, you know, there's all kinds of things I dismissed that.
Yeah, and it was, and they were definitely, and they definitely had a British psyche to them. You know, there were things that they wrote that Americans didn't write, so it was nice. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, well, it's a big old world.
Yeah. Well, listen, real quick, Elvis Costello. That's sort of you were talking about, because he was known for like having a different. He would sometimes go all over the place with his with the meter of his songs and stuff. So that's when I thought you of that, I thought of your song "Pure Joy." That's the one. Like I go. What is what in the world is James? What is James doing with this? You know, like that. So,
yeah, man.
That's a great.
Yeah,
because you're doing it just like a little 6-8 beat type of ballad almost there, right?
I'm up around 8, simply cannot wait, 'cause life is pure joy. Now that I'm with you, the orchestra's in tune, and life is good for this boy. All the times that I fought overall, I am through, have proven to be so untrue. Thanks to you, there's a lot of Elvis in that one.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was true or not. I just sort of picked up on that when you mentioned Elvis Costello. I said, "Oh yeah, that's."
I hear it now.
Yeah,
I hear it now, but I wasn't. The difference between my obsession period and now is that that's allowed to come out without being an unhealthy thing. Like I've taken possession of the name of a Costello tune, incidentally. I've taken there's myself as I'm in there. I'm not trying to write an Elvis Costello song. I'm writing my own thing there.
Of course, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, yeah, of course, but at one point I'm telling you, it's like I was overboard. So, it feels good to be able to do that. Cause that song is so me. I played everything on, I don't think I'm wrong in saying I played every instrument on that track. I don't think there's an exception to that. I think that's one of the ones that played absolutely everything.
Yeah, just the way you place the lyrics in the song. That and to that beat, against that beat, it's definitely like, wow, it must have been because you did not have to do it that way, but yet
not at all.
Were able it gave it sort of a flavor that you weren't expecting.
Well, that melody, which is really hard to sing, by the way, accurately. That melody, I played it on the piano. That was the first thing I had. That exact melody was the very, very, very beginning of the song, which is why it had to be that way, which is kind of fun. And it is because I was listening to all these birds outside, and I just happened to it just all fell into place.
Did you start off slowly with that thing as you were creating it, and then decided that it was going to go against that beat, or? Did you I don't know if you ever have these things in your head right away or not.
Yeah, oddly enough, I wrote that on the piano, and then just kind of, it's one of the rare ones where it's, I guess it is more difficult for me to play it on the guitar, though.
Yeah.
But I can do it on both. And it's weird too, because it's in A flat. So on the guitar, it's in G with a capo. I'm not good enough to play it in A flat. So I have to play it in G with a capo on it. And but it's funny to think of things in the same song in two different keys when you play it. But of course, it sounds the same for everybody. But yeah, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks. I just had to ask because I thought that was great, and I had no idea if it was an Elvis thing, but that was
well, you nailed.
Just have a little reminiscent quality. That's all it was. That's all I thought.
You nailed it, and I wasn't conscious of it until right now. I wasn't thinking of that one that way, but I hear it for sure. Yeah, more than anybody else I can think of. Funny, I didn't think of it.
So this is what you're doing now with your life instead of writing film scores. I hope this is okay with you. I mean, you could still be doing it one day down the road. A lot of people have done it.
I would welcome that. Absolutely, I would welcome that. That would be great. I just didn't have the faintest idea what was going to be involved at the time that I thought I would do that. No, and I did move. There's a whole New York sojourn we haven't talked about. I've got a couple of things on TV as all work made for hire stuff, so.
You've done some of it. I've
done a little bit of post scoring, just a little bit. Yeah. So, but it's not a whole chapter really worth going into. Truly.
I'm sure it's just fine to, those who don't, that like what you're doing. So the Girls Who Has Everything is the last thing I wanted to touch on. Cause
sure.
It's probably, besides On Paper, it's probably one of my favorites to listen to.
Oh, thanks.
Because it just flows very nicely. And you said Lex helped produce that one too. Is that what you were telling me? Yeah.
Yep.
Has a nice. I I don't know. I don't know what it is about some of these that you've created, but it's. I hope everybody else gets the same vibe that I do. And maybe to their own liking, but it's they'll have a different track that they'll go to. But,
yeah, there's a little bit of everything in there, and I'm happy. I'm happy to hear you like that too.
Yeah,
that is an old song. That is one of the only ones that's been resurrected for this. That's maybe worth talking about. That song is something I wrote with a friend of mine. 19 years ago.
Oh, okay.
It's really
18, 19. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So the guy's name is Daniel Tasham. And it's the only thing I've written with him. We were definitely thinking of Burt Bacharach at the time.
Yeah,
I would say, in some of the music and some of the words. And then it's very funny to me that all these years later, he's actually made a record with Burt Bacharach recently.
No kidding.
Yeah, the two of those guys. It's Burt's 91 years old now, and it's the first music he's put out in 15 years. It's their collaboration, which is really great. Highly recommend it. It's beautiful. Wow. He's one of the best songwriters I've ever heard. It's just so that song I've tried to record it several times over the years, and I just haven't been able to get it across the finish line. And I've wanted to do it as long as I can remember. And it's just one of those things where I didn't have it until recently. And, I finally got that thing out of me and, gave it a new treatment, a treatment I didn't really.
Yeah, a little more than a fresh coat of paint. You sort of
and I actually
rework it. That was a little.
Yes, there are some. It's a long story. I won't bore you with all the technicals.
Okay, yeah.
But there's kind of a subtle key change thing that happens, and then there's a kind of an unsubtle key change thing that happens. But I reworked the verses a little bit. They're still fundamentally what they were, but some of the relationships to the melody and the chords have been changed a little bit, but it's not the kind of thing I could go into and make any sense about.
That's cool.
People would be like, what is he on? What is he talking about? Yeah.
What is he on? Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just so happy that we finally got a chance to do it. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. And Daniel likes it. I sent it to him and he's like, he digs it. And so I'm very glad that he likes it as well. And there you go.
Yeah. It sounds very romantic in a way. Yeah. So it qualifies almost that it could be, because it's these notions that you make up in your head of what how can I make this special? How can I it's really funny. That song comes across as purely whimsical and everything else, but there's kind of also like a real straight ahead practicality. Like what can I, I'm not to say that, you're not worthy of this partner, but there's something about that longing to be with someone. And you're like, well, but what could I possibly bring to this relationship? I guess it is a little bit like thinking that somebody's out of your league now that I think about it. There you go.
But in any case, what's so funny about it though is like, so let's say you're stumbling on that, and then the bridge shows up and there's all these that's the thing that takes the song and makes it special to me. It's just like this collection of abstract ideas that are in the lyrics. So wonderful. Rather than any, there is no thing you can give. There's no, just, be yourself. And I think all of those things, like a kiss from a moonbeam, its pale afterglow, a taste of a snowflake, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's that's magic. If you can harness you can find a little bit of magic, then who isn't going to flip out over that?
What do you give to the girl who has everything. What could it be that she needs? A diamond, a ring, or a vase from the Ming Dynasty. What would you pay the winter for spring's release? Oh, what do you give to the girl who has everything? A kiss from a moonbeam, its pale afterglow, a taste of a snowflake from December's first new fall of snow. What do you give to the girl who needs nothing? There's nothing that she doesn't have. She has beauty and autumn leaves, blue skies and symphonies. What kind of song could I sing? Oh, what do you give to the girl who has
Yeah, it's worth flipping out over. You know, it's nice melody, nice sound to it. All these tracks have a different feel to them, as you probably intended, and it sounds great. Yeah, you didn't actually set out to do them that way, but this is the way they came out, and I'm glad they did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. 6 songs is pretty good. It's not too long and not too short. You get just the right amount that you like.
That's right.
Yeah, and I keep coming back for more. So, you know, on paper is a good way to end it, and I appreciate all the tracks. I think we should wrap it up because, you know, I don't want to keep you anymore.
Yeah,
the two guys rambling could go on for a long, long time, and and it might be late over there where you are. So I want to let you show you the respect, and it's been a lot of fun talking with you, James. So
it's been a delight. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Your album, your triumphant album or EP, for I guess to be more precise, it's called Paper Boats. It's supposed to be out on June 11th, and I hope everything will go well. I hope everybody likes it as much as I do. You know, I'm nobody. However, it'd be nice if this became a big hit for you, and
thank you so much.
Get you noticed so you can keep on creating even more great stuff. So
thank you so much.
My headphones off to you, so to speak.
Cheers. Thank you. Mine and mine to you.
Well, I'm sure there was we could probably come up with more things, but hey, listen, if down the road, would you come back on the show? We could talk some more.
I would love it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to clap for you just because I got to get going. So, James DiGirolamo, it's been a pleasure, and it's a real treat getting to hear all those, insight and some stories from you. And it's been
thank you.
And your music especially. And thanks for playing those two versions for me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, off we go.
Cheers. I'll help you on the applause part.
All right. God bless you, James. Take care of yourself and have a great night.
You too, Dean.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
See you, man.